Welcome to Carcon Carne. I'm James Van Osdell. And just a quick programming note, if you missed it, busy podcast lately. Yesterday, we recorded with the Slugs, Chicago band The Slugs, back together headlining Pravda Fest at Sketchbook at the end of the month. And earlier today, previously on Carcon Carne, Jughead from Screeching Weasel, the long-running, beloved punk band from Chicago, Jughead, who's also become quite a fantastic podcaster with Jughead's Basement. That episode just debuted today. Right now, well, he's Private First Class Omar Ulmer from Inglorious Basterds, and as an actor, you probably know Omar Doom from that movie, Death Proof, Grindhouse. Omar started out as a musician, and music is what brings him here. His new EP, Straight Razor Volume 2, comes out next week, and it's a get in your car late at night, drive fast, propulsive, EBM, Darkwave sort of thing. Omar Doom, hello.
Hello, thanks for having me. I like that intro.
It is. I mean, every time I listen to this, like I want to get in the car when the moon is out and I want to drive fast and I want to do bad things.
Okay. All
Mission
right.
accomplished?
Yes, exactly.
The plan worked. I mean, this is club music for dark people.
Yes. I would say that there's definitely some menacing drum beats going on there, and coupled with some driving bass lines that overall I give a kind of a dark atmosphere, and with a little bit of a cinematic quality maybe. But yes, also, a lot of it is heavy on the dark side. So,
well, in the cinematic quality, I guess we should expect. I mean, you're an actor, you're in movies. Do you think visually? I mean, is it possible to think visually as you create music?
it is possible to think visually. I'm a very visual person. I was a painter originally. Well, music probably came first, but so yeah, I definitely think of things like what you said. Like sometimes I make a song that's like I want a song for someone that's driving in their car and they're in this mood. So
Straight Razor Volume 2, again, it comes out on the 17th and everyone can digest it. I do want to talk about a couple of the songs. Even it's always weird, Omar, on a podcast talking about music, because on a podcast you can't play music. So it's one of those things like, take my word for it, it's awesome and here's why. Astaroth, when I first saw the name of that song, I'm like, that's got to be something demonic. Sure enough, Google that, the Great Duke of Hell. Pretty safe bet. It sounded like something that Raven from Teen Titans would say. My favorite song of the five, and this is an EP, it's the second Straight Razor EP, is Mantis. And I keep going back and forth, but it's the tempo, and this sounds like a John Carpenter score gone completely off the rails. There's something special about this one.
Yeah, that's definitely a compliment, because John Carpenter is definitely someone I've always looked up to, not only just for his movies, but for the music that he makes. Because he writes, directs, and does the score of his movie sometimes. And that's definitely something that I'm working up to doing. So and definitely I can definitely hear the style similarities that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely influenced by a lot of old movie soundtracks. Actually, the name Straight Razor comes from are you familiar with like the Giallo Italian horror film of the 60s and 70s? Well, in those movies there were usually like a black gloved killer, and the film tropes that are like and they would often have as their murder weapon a straight razor. Like Dressed to Kill,
mm-hmm.
Blood and Black Lace, all kinds of movies. And so yeah, the film, the reference is spot on.
And there's a gradual build to this one that I just love. But I mean, sonically, everything falls in line together. I will say Lady Midday, which is the last of the five songs, almost has a brighter tone to it, almost like a more joyful tone to this admittedly pretty dark set of songs. Am I hearing that right?
I don't know if it was. I was definitely sad when I wrote that one. The rest of them I wasn't. That was like, I think I was going through a breakup during when I wrote that one, and I actually structured it instead of the dance structure that usually you'll hear. I structured it in 3 acts, kind of like a movie. And each act has different drums and different mood to it. Um, and it's definitely a lot different than anything else I've done. It's more along a synthwave kind of vibe, I think. And I wasn't even sure if I was going to put it on, but see, that song was the main title track to the movie Spree, which stars Joe Keery of Stranger Things, David Arquette, Misha Barton, a bunch of people. And I just keep getting messages. Where can we hear this? Where can can I buy this? And I was just thought eventually, I better just put it on this EP.
I saw Gary Newman here in Chicago a couple months ago, and he looks like he's somehow reversed the aging process. And I had Howard Jones on the podcast about a month ago. I'm convinced that the synthesizer is like the fountain of youth. Like the more you release music, you're going to be like 15 years old by the time you're all done. There's something about that instrument.
Well, I am 45.
Okay, see, you look probably late 30s at most.
Well, thank you.
It's the lighting.
Yeah, I do get that a lot. I think my dad looks a lot younger than he is. So,
but it just, there's something about that instrument. There's something special about it.
And his name is Dracula. I'm just kidding.
I'm dead.
Yeah, I think I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, I don't know what to tell you for that one.
Well, let's talk about the movies. Let's talk about the cinematic side of the cinematic stuff. Clearly, Quentin Tarantino's a fan of yours. I mean, he's a colleague of yours at this point, isn't he?
Yes, I would say so. Well, I'm an actor that's part of his universe, so you could call me a Tarantino actor. Colleague, he's a little ahead of me.
What was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood his best, or is it impossible to pick one?
Well, actually, most people say that Pulp Fiction is their favorite, right? Or for a long time.
That's the easy one. That's the easy one to say.
Right. For a long time, it was the case, right? And then Inglorious Bastard comes around, and then I start hearing people start wondering, like, wait, which one do I really like more? And I was really surprised by that, because I always thought that Pulp Fiction would just be his, his tour de force, and more and more people are saying that they're not sure or which one they like better. And he has publicly said, actually, that in 100 years that might be the one that they remember him by, Inglorious Basterds.
Well, and my God, the cast. I mean, you're in it. I mentioned that, but I mean, Brad Pitt, obviously, Eli Roth, the Bear Jew, Michael Fassbender, Diane Kruger, Daniel Bruhl, BJ Novak. I mean, what a stunning collection of talent in that one, and everyone just kills it.
Yes, definitely. I actually ended up staying friends with BJ Novak actually after that movie.
Because I know so little about the movie making process, Omar, but I'm assuming it's like you kind of go into war together. Bad metaphor, but I mean, you're in the trenches with these people, 13, 15 hours a day. Like, it would be impossible not to have lasting bonds come out of a movie like this.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either. And it was like, I mean, I'm not going to compare acting in a movie to being in a war, really.
Right. Like I said, terrible metaphor.
Right. But at the same time, there was a camaraderie that I think you're speaking of between the bastards that is, that still resonates today, probably.
So what do you think is a tougher grind in the digital age, being an independent filmmaker or an independent musician?
Okay, well, for a while, pre-pandemic, I would have said music. Okay. Post-pandemic, I would say film. Because people are starting to figure out, ever since music became, it became impossible to make money with releasing music, people started figuring out new ways of doing things. And we're in that process with film right now. People are starting to try to figure out new ways, but we haven't really gotten there. There's lots of experimenting going on. So I don't think we've really landed on what the future of film is really going to be like. Because I mean, it's changing so rapidly. With music, I don't see as rapid of a change.
I kept thinking during the pandemic that we would see a renaissance or a rebirth of the music video as an art form. I just assumed that when artists couldn't tour and do what they normally did to make money, I thought that would be an easy, I say easy, a different way to get their music out there. that really never happened. I mean, I know you threw in, you have a fantastic video that people can watch, which is black and white, and it's from the last EP. But do you think that's an opportunity just kind of waiting on the table for musicians, kind of diving back into music videos?
I think music video production has definitely picked up in the last few years. And people are using it a lot more as like something else to give their audience as like a package. But I'm not seeing, I mean, aside from YouTube, which is right now the place where everyone does it, I'm not seeing like a new avenue dedicated to it, specifically to it in the future anywhere, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I feel like there's an opportunity there. I don't know, I can't vocalize or verbalize what that opportunity is. I just feel like there's something there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's people started trying to sell their music videos on Spotify. I think you can do that, or not Apple Music or somewhere. I don't know if that's exactly the right way to go, but there's, they're thinking about it.
So you toured very recently behind the Straight Razor stuff. Was that cool, weird, interesting? What was it like taking that stuff on the road?
It was really interesting. I actually tried a new way of performing my music. I would use CDJs probably before, but this time I used Ableton, which is a program that I actually made the music with. And I used a controller that they have, the APC40 MK2, that kind of goes with it, that you can perform live with. And with that, you can solo instruments out of your song, because it's basically all the tracks of your song,
right?
So you can go farther with live remixing of songs and live techno. So I gave that a shot. It was a lot of fun. It was great. I made a lot of new relationships. I opened a lot of doors, and I'd never done something like this before, where I did a tour like that. I mean, it was a mini tour, but I hit, pretty many cities in a short amount of time. It was like Philadelphia, New York, Nashville, Oakland, Portland, Detroit, all in a matter of a few days, I think. And it was, I'm not young. I'm not that young anymore. So it may have been a little different 20 years ago, but it was definitely a lot of fun.
Well, now I'm going to tell you the obvious miss. You didn't play Chicago. And if anything, we here in Chicago, like, we get what you're doing. From a music foundation, the home of wax tracks and industrial music and house music, like, we get where you're coming from. So you need to bring your show back on the road to Chicago.
I definitely want to. And next time I'm sure I probably will.
Yeah, and we'll fatten you up here. We'll get you well fed. We'll put a beef sandwich in front of you. We'll put a shot of Malort, and you'll be just like a native.
Some Chicago pizza.
That's it. We'll take care of you. It's I swear to God, whenever someone has a guest from out of town in Chicago, it becomes the mission of the host to make that person 5 pounds fatter by the time they leave town. Oh, let's go to this restaurant. Let's get this pizza. Oh, have you ever had a beef sandwich? How about with sausage on it? How about with jardinera? Have you had it dipped in gravy? Okay, so when you come to Chicago, we'll make sure we add 5 pounds to your girth.
This sounds good. I love eating.
Who doesn't? It's a fundamental for life. Omar Doom, the new EP, it's awesome. Like I said, like I can't wait for people to hear it, because it is one of those things, like, when you hear it, it just clicks, like, oh yeah, I want to play this really loud. I want to be irresponsible as I'm listening to this. I want to drive fast and take chances. It's awesome. And again, it comes out on the 17th, right? Yes. Straight Razor Volume 2 out on June 17th, streamable everywhere. And then from an acting perspective, do you have anything coming up?
Not right now. I definitely want to do some more acting in the future. Right now, I'm spending all my time on this, but definitely watch out for more acting. I do have another show coming up if you're in Los Angeles at Das Bunker, which is a long-running industrial party.
Yeah.
It's been going in Los Angeles 20 years or something. It's at Catch One, July 8th. You can catch tickets for that on omardoom.com, and you can listen to new music there. Soon you'll be able to buy some merch that I'm making.
Sweet. And I do have lots of friends and acquaintances and people who do watch this from Los Angeles. I know a lot of people on the West Coast, so hopefully we'll fill that room for you.
Cool.
All right, Omar, thank you. You're amazing.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.